A mother sentenced to life in prison for killing her two children will face another trial today for the 2019 murder of her ex-husband. Opening statements begin today for Lori Vallow Daybell in Arizona. And what's different about this case is she'll be representing herself. Senior investigative reporter Ann Emerson is live at the Maricopa County Courthouse. Good morning to you, Ann. How is this going to work, especially if she has to take the stand?
Good morning, Jan. You know, it's so interesting because she is representing herself. So, of course, this is also part of her responsibilities is to be talking to the witnesses. And if she takes the stand, it looks like there'll be an advisory council that will have the questions that she has prepared. And that's very important in this case. She prepares them. They cannot be statements. And then the advisory council will be then asking the questions to her as she's sitting on the stand. But, you know, there's so many landmines in this case, Jan, that they're going to be watching so carefully for the prosecution and for the judge.
She's already spending the rest of her life in prison for the 2019 murders of her children, which, of course, as we know, made international headlines when police began searching for them. Convicted killers are typically required to wear their prison uniform, but we understand she's going to be in street clothes. She's not going to be shackled. She's not going to be handcuffed. But there will be something, we understand, underneath her clothes. What is that? And what was the judge's reasoning for allowing her to wear street clothes?
Well, they decided to allow her to do that because she is representing herself in this case. So she was able to get that win. Now, what they're talking about is this rack belt that she's going to have on. It's a remotely activated belt that is like a stun belt. So if there's any problems with the defendant, with Lori Daybell when she's there, if there's any issues about having control over her, they'll be able to remotely activate it. A deputy that's going to be standing nearby and watching all of the proceedings and with her the whole time. So they feel like they've got control over the situation, but they feel like for her to represent herself, that this was important. I mean, of course, again, this is like one of those big landmines for the prosecution, though, because if they say anything to her or call her down, they have to be very careful that the jury doesn't see her as vulnerable during this time. And we don't know how much is going to be allowed in about the children and about the first convictions that she has. Yeah. So there's a lot that we're going to have to be watching this first day.
So just so I'm clear, this belt will zap her. It's essentially a mechanism to zap her if she were to flee or...
That's exactly right. That's exactly right. This is a stun belt. So this is something that they are able to zap her with, and they will have tested it, made sure everything's working. I've read some of the filings from the Maricopa County Sheriff's Office about this belt, and they were adamant that this was the way that they should go if she was not going to be, you know, wearing shackles during this testimony today.
Right. It's going to be a very interesting trial. During her first trial, and we know that cameras and recording equipment were not allowed in the courtroom. So are they allowed in this one, and how long is this trial expected to take?
They are allowing, they're going to live stream this one from Maricopa. And you know, this is not unusual for this courthouse to live stream. But what they're going to be doing is they're going to actually be shooting through a window. From what we understand, you're going to be able to see the defendant from the back when she's sitting at her table. There's not going to be multiple cameras like we've seen at some of these live stream court trials. But we do think there may be another camera that we'll be able to access. And of course, when she gets up and she's going to be defending herself, and she's going to be cross-examining, and she's going to be getting up to talk to the judge. So there will be opportunities to see everything that's going on in that courtroom. Of course, we'll never see anything that is in the jury box. That is something that's never allowed when you're in court. You don't want to identify any of the jurors. We think that this trial is going to be going on in possibly as long as 5 weeks.
Wow. Wow. All right. Ann Emerson, always great to talk to you. Thanks so much for joining us here this morning. I'm sure we'll be talking
good to talk to you
to get some updates throughout the course of this trial. Ann Emerson, we appreciate it. And by the way, Ann Emerson is now the senior investigative reporter for our new true crime team, Criminally Obsessed. You can follow them on every platform. The stories are real, raw, and riveting.